Okay, welcome into the Dirty Pocket. It has been another week of fun in the NFL, and we're going to navigate this filthy thing. I am joined by my partner in crime, the scout, Daniel Kelly. How are we, my friend?
Hey, we're doing great. Wow. It's just
Energy.
hey, I tell you what, it's just like instead of a jack in the box, it's a scout in a box. So
Scout in a box.
that's right. That's how it goes. And I can see you're doing well too. You got that kind of that Matt Patricia hat on backwards thing going for us today.
It's called laziness, man. That's called bad hair day, long work day. Yeah, I just went with a new look. New look.
That's cool. That's cool.
It's just kind of a vibe today. Just kind of a vibe because we've got some things to talk about.
Oh, we have a vibe today, all right. We have a vibe for sure.
We got a vibe. So before we get started, real quickly, my cohort here, Mr. Kelly, is a writer for Sports Illustrated Jets, Lions, and new to 49ers, although quickly becoming famous. And that is what is going to be the subject of this week's Dirty Pocket, because we've got to talk about this thing in San Francisco. But before we get started, as is tradition here on the Dirty Pocket, I don't know what you're going to hit me with this week. I've seen RC, I've seen Fanta, I've seen Pepsi and a smile. What are we drinking?
Well, you know what? Unpredictability is the key when it comes to play calling in the National Football League. So I'm glad but we're going back to old familiar this week. We're going back to
this 2 weeks in a row. This is a streak now.
Pepsi and a smile.
Okay.
Now before we go into this, now I have a new a spot I would like to do, an Arsenio Hall impression again.
Wow.
So which ties into the show, which ties into the things we're going to talk about. Okay. So let's give me a second here. Hold on.
Okay. Go Arsenio.
Okay. Have a Pepsi and a smile, because when Trey Lance leaves a bad taste in your mouth, Pepsi is here to come to the rescue.
Oh, jeez. You know what would be god awful is if he actually ends up endorsing Pepsi somehow.
Who, me?
No, Trey Lance.
Oh, no, don't worry about that. Yeah, that's
no concern there.
No concerns there. He's got to complete more than half his passes at the intermediate route level before he thinks about any endorsements.
Oh man! So here we go. We're just going to start.
Shots fired.
By the way,
fired.
I'm going healthy with Zevia. Zevia, Pepsi, whatever it's going to take. Give us a call. Sponsor the Dirty Pocket. We put a smile on people's face, right?
We sure do. We sure do.
Sound good. Didn't sound good. Okay.
Okay,
right,
Stacey.
We're in a mood this week. We're in a mood.
We are. Someone put a quarter in us, and
50 cents maybe.
Put the needle on the record. Put the needle on the record. Put the needle on the record. Remember that old song? There we go.
Oh yeah. I mean, you fired off with starting off with me looking like Matt Patricia. I hope that do I need to shed 100 pounds? And maybe do I need a pencil?
A pencil would be nice. Yeah, a pencil. Wow, man. That. But I didn't say anything about the weight. I just talked about the pencil. If you could get that going there, and that'd be maybe just put on a big Detroit Lions poncho or something, and hey,
dark days.
I know what you can be for Halloween. There you go.
Oh, okay. All right. We're going to move along off this one. Okay.
Hey, I did get everybody off that comment you made, though. I put a smile on people's faces. Did I not?
You did. It was a nice segue shift off that very odd comment by me.
Very odd. We had the comment. We had the pivot off that fast.
Controversy. It is a dirty pocket. Okay. Let's talk about what we're here to do, which is the San Francisco 49ers. And it just keeps getting weirder. There's an interview with Kyle Shanahan at the table. My God, did he really look rough? He looked like he hadn't slept in 3 days during that thing. He was had the coffee going. He's like, I couldn't believe he took that interview. But we got to talk about these quarterbacks. And the timing couldn't be more serendipitous with your Sports Illustrated article on Trey Lance about him not looking good on film. Check that out, folks, if you're not one of the hundreds of thousands that haven't already. What is going on in San Francisco, Scout Kelly?
Well, you can start, as you alluded to, Google Trey Lance, and my article is running number 2 right now on Google News. talking a little bit of what I saw on game film, because here's the situation. And I would like to get back to your comment for a second, Stacey, about, Kyle Shanahan. Not only did he not look like he hadn't slept, but he looked super uncomfortable talking about the material that was being discussed. As a matter of fact, so much so on one of the interviews I went back and watched before we went on air tonight, he was talking about how, he meant to say at the end of the interview, I think he meant to say Jimmy and at the end, but he said Trey instead. There's going to be a competition between Trey and Trey, or it was, he misquoted the name of it. He just seemed really uncomfortable with the material. And he was kind of like playing with that coffee thing, like the part that keeps, if the cup is too hot, he kept moving it up and down. He just seemed like he was kind of fidgety, really uncomfortable with the material. And I can understand why. After watching the game film and going back, looking at the 2021 version of Trey Lance on game film, because here's what I wanted to do. Okay, is perhaps we got a question coming in. Is Kyle Shanahan getting any sleep? I tell you what.
You're touching on that now.
I am touching on that. What just came up on the screen? I mean, yeah. I can only throw the ball at the receivers that are open when I see the messages. But maybe not. But the thing of it is I wanted to take this discussion, okay? Because as it's been, and I have to be careful because I'm going on a big 49ers podcast this Tuesday night where they're going to want to debate me. They got a couple guys coming on to debate me about Trey Lance, and the entire 49ers nation's going to be dialing into this. So I know they have people advanced scouting this show, like, writing down notes. What's he going to say? How's he going to say it here? How are we going to attack this guy? Okay, you take him from over here. I'll take him from over here. We'll throw in Tim Tebow for good measure. It's what I wanted to do, okay? This is no secret, okay? I came up pre-draft. I was the only voice in America, okay? Turn it up. I was the only voice in America that said Trey Lance is a UFA pre-draft, okay? Everybody else is talking about first round, top 10, top 5. He can walk on water. I was saying Trey Lance was a UFA, which stands for undraftable free agent grade, is what I put on him pre-draft coming out of North Dakota State, okay? So and this is nothing against the 49ers nation, because I labeled him with this grade and put this grade on before he was ever a San Francisco 49er. So I don't want the 49ers nation to think this is personal, because it's not at all personal, okay? But that's the grade I had on. I said in my report, it's all documented online. There's nothing that's secretive here. Everything's time and date stamped. I talked about Lance being a poor man's Donovan McNabb, is the way I saw him. I said, maybe he's a guy that can come in and run your scout team. Ironically, that's what he did, and he won Scout Team of the Week award for the 49ers. Not a good look. As they say on social media, that is not a good look when you trade 3 number 1 draft picks for a glorified option quarterback to come in and run your scout team. Okay, so
Shanahan made sure we all knew about that too.
That was one of his.
Made it known.
That was like a proud papa moment for Kyle Shanahan. He was so proud of that. Listen, okay, Cleveland just traded 3 number 1s for the most dynamic quarterback in the NFL, Deshaun Watson. We had that discussion last week. Okay, Watson, he wasn't coming from, but Watson wasn't coming from a background of playing against glorified high school corners like Trey Lance was, okay? Right? Okay, Watson was coming from a background, okay, where he was the leading passer in the NFL in 2020, a year removed, okay? A little bit different than playing subdivision football, okay? So I already had my thoughts down on paper about Trey Lance before the 49ers ever drafted him. I was shocked. Not a lot shocks me in the NFL anymore. I know every week we're surprised, but I was shocked with a capital S when Kyle Shanahan, a man who grew up at the feet of John Elway with his daddy with the Denver Broncos, watching John Elway throw the football. I'm old enough that I watched Elway's entire career, like you did, Stacey. Okay, when I look at Trey Lance versus John Elway, it's like looking at a bicycle versus a Ferrari. Okay. I mean, that's the difference. And the scary part about it is, is at some point I'm going to be on ESPN talking split screen with Kyle Shanahan. This is where the direction this thing is headed. Okay. At some point, okay. I mean, I already cracked his daddy's code when I was with the New York Jets, okay, before the AFC Championship game. I cracked the first 15 plays before it ever happened, okay? At some point, I do want to talk to Kyle Shanahan, and I want to talk one-on-one with a national audience about Trey Lance with him, okay? And that's what I ideally want in this situation, because I want to know where he's coming from and how in the world he could possibly – I mean, even drafting Trey Lance with one number one pick was outrageous enough. Mortgaging the future, the franchise for him. I mean, that guy should have walked in, whoever that guy was. I mean, Mac Jones, runner-up for offensive rookie of the year, right? Okay. They could have just sat at 12 and taken Mac Jones, and we all could have lived happily ever after, and nothing more would have come of it. But they traded 3 number ones to move up into the spot. When you trade 3 number ones, you had better have somebody coming into your training camp that's polished, pro ready, and he is as my dad would say, is big man on campus, right? And that was not the case. This guy came in. Yeah, he's got to develop. He's got to do this, that, the other. Listen, okay, I am more well-versed on Trey Lance than anybody in America. I've taken hours, okay, upon hours watching every movement of his, every snap, every play. If you go on Google and type in Daniel Kelly, Trey Lance preseason, you will see that I charted all 100 snaps that he was a part of in the preseason. Every single play I charted, okay? And statistically, I came up with all the raw data in the preseason, okay? It was alarming how bad he looked in the preseason. He threw 1 interception. He could have turned the ball over 8 times during the preseason in 3 games when he was in there, okay? And not only that, but he was horrendous, okay? How's that for the word of the night in the dirty pocket? He was horrendous. At the intermediate route level. He completed 16% of his intermediate passes, okay? He was awful at the medium level of the field, okay? He was 2 for 4 deep. Okay, most of everything that Kyle Shanahan did with him was either Trey ran the ball, he handed it off, or he threw short passes. Okay, and not only was he bad at the intermediate, this is all from memory. I mean, this is this guy's stuff that goes through my mind during the day, right? It's not only was he awful with a capital A at the intermediate level. Okay, he was just as bad on third down. Listen. Trey Lance lacks confidence in big game situations. This is a big problem that's not going to go away.
So here's the thing. I was going to ask you how much game film you've truly watched. You've already.
Oh, no, I got more.
And, I'm sure you do. But here's the thing. What in the world, if you could come up with such a negative analysis at the end of the day of what this kid can do, he's just a raw UFA. By the way, I agree, and I haven't watched near the film you have, but what in the world did Shanahan and Lynch and Jed York, what did they see? Or are we watching something really strange happening here? We've seen it in Green Bay with Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers. We're seeing it with one of his closest friends in the world, Kyle Shanahan and Trey Lance and Jimmy G. I'm starting to feel like what we're witnessing as football fans is a very bizarre dynamic where these guys that all hang out together in the offseason went, I need one of these big, mobile, strong, young guy quarterbacks that run around all over the place after watching Lamar Jackson, after watching Josh Allen a little bit. And now they're backpedaling going,
there you go. There you go.
Oops.
There you go. They are trying to save face. That's what's happening right now in San Francisco. You just touched on it, Stacey. That's why everything concerning Trey Lance and Jimmy G is forward. They keep, they keep pushing it forward. It's sometime in the future we're going to deal with this. And if you type in Trey Lance, outside of my article, and you start looking at all the articles out there, and you start going through all the quotes of Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, and you start dissecting everything the way I do. If you read between the lines, it's all variable language. Okay, listen.
We saw this yesterday,
right? It's not a secret. Okay, that I mean, supposedly, look at Kyle Shanahan. He's very confidently talking about how they're trying to trade him and Jimmy G's. They're trying to move him, and it's just a shoulder surgery is holding us back at this point. And he's trying to present this to us. Okay, but at the same time, they're always pushing it forward. It's never quite the right time. From the time the preseason started last year with the Trey package, which is really just kind of a glorified, option quarterback. I mean, you could have gotten any 7th round draft pick in America to come in and run that Trey package. Okay, it's not like it's that dynamic. I mean, oh wow, here comes another quarterback shuffling the game like that's revolutionary. Yeah. Okay.
All kinds of guys that can do that.
All kinds of guys. You could have brought in Tim Tebow, and he could have done the exact same thing for them without any problem. Oh, absolutely.
There's just all kinds of guys.
There's all kinds of guys out there can run that program. Okay, but what he does, he's always pushing it out there. They keep pushing it forward. That someday, now Kyle Shanahan says that Trey Lance will start sooner than later, which is another, hypothetical someday over the rainbow type of thing. It just has a very weird feeling to it. And really and truly, if I was sitting at a poker table, I would raise Kyle Shanahan and I would look at him and say, I'm calling your bluff, because I believe they know that he can't start and win in the National Football League. And they're trying to save face because they know, for lack of a better way of saying it, all hell's going to break loose in San Francisco when the truth comes out. So they've got
too good a roster. They've got too good a roster to go into the tank.
And really, honestly, people are going to start asking themselves in San Francisco, and this is something I'll probably write about at some point. Did we maybe we shouldn't have let Coach McDaniel go?
Oh, that's going to be very interesting to see us specifically.
Because Coach McDaniel all of a sudden is the most aggressive coach in the National Football League. Okay,
yeah, he's turning Miami around.
Now he's in Miami. Okay. Meanwhile, this whole this mess is materializing in San Francisco with the Trey Lance and Jimmy G situation. But I just when you read between the lines, there's obvious. I mean, anybody can see it that listens to it. There's a hidden message here. There's a hidden message here. And clearly, I mean, if it's not a secret, why, Kyle Shanahan, I'm talking to you. Look at me, okay? I'm talking to you, okay? I'm talking to you, okay? If it's not a mystery, if you're so, if you feel that he's the guy, just come out and say it. Say the words. Repeat it after me. Trey Lance is your starting quarterback for 2022. It's not that difficult, okay? There's a reason why he's not saying it. Number one, he doesn't believe it, okay? That's number one. Or number two, Tom Brady's still in play, okay?
Whole thing.
Or something else is going to happen
today.
I'm serious. Or something else could still happen. Something else could still happen. Where because think about this, okay? Let's say they know in San Francisco that Trey Lance is not the guy, okay? That him and John Lynch get in the office, they're like, whoo, boy, did we blow that one, okay? Let's say that's the situation. Nothing could cover this up more nicely, as far as damage control, than bringing in Tom Brady, and then everybody kind of forgets about Trey Lance. He kind of goes into right. Hey, as my old boss used to say, I'm either onto something or I'm on something. But all of a sudden, the whole thing kind of blows over. Brady comes in. They win a Super Bowl. Everything kind of just kind of
win the Super Bowl.
Well, I know what you feel, but they do very well. Brady's doing well. His childhood team. We don't even remember who Trey Lance is anymore. That could be too. There's some reason, because otherwise you would come out and you would say that he's your starting quarterback. I'm calling the bluff. It just does not add up. 2 + 2 = 4, not 5. And that's what we're looking at right now with the San Francisco 49ers.
So, I mean, they've already given themselves the out on this. You're onto something with that Brady thing. Let's revisit that here in a minute. But the Pepsi and a smile, it does wonders. Look,
it's a drink
they already came. John Lynch already came out yesterday and said that there's a very good chance they're both still on the roster to start the season.
Well, that's trade talk.
That's a current cap charge of nearly $27 million keeping Jimmy G on this roster. They are not widely endorsing it, but in a move today that I thought was so ridiculous that I broke a rib laughing is when owner Jed York comes out and compares this situation to Joe Montana and Steve Young. He's comparing two Hall of Fame quarterbacks to a sophomore who's thrown less than 75 passes in the league and two guys that have won 5 NFL championships. Honestly, is there something in the water in San Francisco? Like John Lynch, I'm going to work. There might both be on the roster. Shanahan looks exhausted, trying to choke down some coffee, going, never comes out and says, he's my starter, move on. And now Jed York's comparing these two to Montana Young. And all I can think of is, in the Dirty Pocket, we drink stuff, but it's all just sugar-free pop. What are they drinking in San Francisco? There is no way that should have ever left Jed York's mouth.
I don't want to say anything about my future boss.
Okay. All right.
On the show.
Future GM of the Niners, John Lynch. Don't say anything about Johnny either.
Well, yeah, that I can talk about that freely, but I don't want to talk about Mr. York in that light. It's something where, no, seriously, I don't, because with this Trey Lance thing, John Lynch is just warming my chair.
Okay, fair enough.
But I mean, that's where that's at, right? That's where that's at. Okay. Because I mean, right underneath my resume on my GM resume is Trey Lance's name. Because I mean, and I've been on board about this before the draft. So it's I've made no qualms about it. But yeah, no, it's this whole thing is being so over dramatized.
It's controversy.
It's a huge controversy, a big controversy out there. And it's enough to keep everyone engaged and whatnot during the off season, but it's been way over dramatized. Okay. Let's face the reality of it. Okay. First of all, I don't understand why the 49ers nation, maybe somebody can explain this to me, or maybe 500,000 people can explain it to me, like what my usual traffic I get. It's why does the 49ers fan base hate Jimmy Garoppolo so much? It makes no sense whatsoever. They can't wait to run this guy out of town. And he's almost led their team to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years, 33-14 as a starter. I mean, I don't understand what the problem is. People are just clamoring for a guy who threw like 308 or attempted 318 passes in college, 113 passes in high school. Now check this out, okay? And he did not play well at all in the preseason, okay? And the 3 games that I talk about for my SI 49ers piece today, okay, he did not play well. That's why I titled it Trey Lance is not good on game film, because there's problems. I mean, there's huge problems with Trey Lance with the 49ers. Number one, he first of all, this is what Trey Lance is, okay? And please go ahead and keep receipts of this show, like they say on social media. This baby is going to age like the finest wine, okay? He's an athlete who's trying to play quarterback, okay? That's what he is. He's a guy who looks to run before he looks to throw. You can always see him. He always wants to take off. He's always running around. That's what he wants to do. He's jumping in the pocket. He lacks poise in the pocket. He either gets jumpy or he holds the ball too long. He's a guy that he's a 3-trick pony, as I called in scouting, okay? The only 3 things that he can do well is hand the ball off, run the football, which is for a 5.19 yard average. Okay. It's not like we're looking at the galloping ghost here. Okay. And it's not, this guy's not going to beat you on his feet. Let's put it that way. And he can throw short passes effectively. Okay. He cannot drive the ball downfield. period. Okay. He's erratic at the intermediate level. During the regular season against Seattle, Arizona, and Houston, okay, he completed half of his passes at the intermediate route level, 15 out of 30. Okay, 13 out of 30 of those passes were either too high or too low, which gives the receiver no opportunity to run after the catch. Okay, the two deep balls he completed, everybody brags about. Both those balls, Deebo Samuel had the weight on him. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
They had the weight on the ball. Okay. And so, so you have a quarterback that can't drive the ball downfield with any type of success on a consistent basis. And not only that, but check this out. Here's the two things that's going to get Kyle Shanahan fired if he plays him in San Francisco. Okay. Number one, he's not good on third downs whatsoever. He converted like 30% of his third down conversions when he was in the game. He was like 9 out of 31 on third downs. Okay. That's the first problem. Okay. We have a quarterback that lacks confidence in big game, third down pressure situations. Not good. Showed in the preseason, identical in the regular season. Number two big problem is check this out, Stacy, in 3 games. Okay. Just in 3 games alone against 2 teams with losing records, Seattle and Houston, 3 games total, right? The opposing defenses touched those passes, his active passes. They put a hand or hands on 11 of his passes in 3 games. They had like 4 balls tipped at the line of scrimmage. He had balls deflected by middle linebackers. He had balls deflected downfield by corners. Plus, he's erratic. His balls are high or low. People are batting him down. He cannot win in the National Football League. That's the problem with this guy. And if Kyle Shanahan keeps on with it, he's going to get him. He's going to be fired over this.
So what do you say to the people, the fan base, or anybody that says, look, it's Kelly, this kid's a rookie.
Oh, that's a nice – they don't call me – they call me a lot worse than that. Because
I'm being nice on the show.
Because I'm the only person out there that's qualified to say the truth. Okay, I'm the only person out there that's not drinking the Kool-Aid or on the payroll that's going to talk candidly about who what kind of performance Trey Lance put on game film. I don't blame the 49ers nation. I want to make this real clear on this show. I don't blame them because this is the information they've been fed by the sources that they trust and by the people that they listen to on and the 49ers themselves. This is what they're believing in. Okay, so they believed in a false narrative. Okay, and I apologize for that. On behalf of whoever.
Wasn't you.
Right, but it wasn't me. But that's the resistance I face all the time, and the opposition I face is I'm always combating a false narrative on this guy.
So what do you say to those fan base to continuing that? These people that say, look, this kid's a rookie. He comes from small college type environment. He didn't play in the SEC. He didn't play in the Pac-12.
There's a reason why he wasn't good enough.
I'm with you. I mean, I hear that. I was very surprised by this move. It reminded me so much of the Packers with Jordan Love, where I was just thinking, what? It still doesn't make any sense to me. It's obvious to me as someone who's not emotionally involved, other than the fact that I love it as a Rams fan. Go ahead, have some problems in San Francisco. I just don't get. Jimmy G takes you to the cusp of 2 Super Bowls, 2 NFC championships. He's played busted up. Jimmy G is not, John Elway. He's not Joe Montana, but he's proven to be that guy. What do you say to the fans that say, well, man, you're such a blowhard. This guy is just a young guy. He needs game time. He needs experience. And that's the funny thing to me is Shanahan did not come out and say that yesterday. Like, he's our starter. He is, just like you mentioned a moment ago, he apparently is, he may be platooning again at Jimmy G if he's not back. Maybe he starts before he comes back. This, to me, has gotten very, very weird. And then I want to ask you, why hasn't anybody come for Jimmy G? We've got quarterback hungry ball clubs out there. The Colts, now they got Matt Ryan. The Commanders, they went out and got Wentz. The Texans have Davis Mills. Okay, maybe some hope there. The Seahawks have nobody. It's very strange to me. Why do you think teams aren't coming to the Niners and throwing a bunch of draft picks and grabbing Jimmy G?
Because I don't think he's in the market.
Okay. That's cold and candid. Yeah, Hard to argue after this conversation.
I don't think he's on the market. I think everybody talks around the situation. Okay. They think he's on the market, but I don't think he's on the market. I don't think San Francisco, I don't think they would ever let Jimmy G get away from that situation. See, but they're trying to save face and play. It's just like, it's like being in like it's like being part of the White House, like the press team or something. It's like everyone's trying to maneuver this to make it look just so, and make it, just kind of keep, I mean, and of course the 49ers have all these different media outlets that do their bidding for them and do their speaking for them. They tell them what to say. They say it in exchange for a press credential to come into the building. Okay. That's the way this thing works in the NFL. I mean, we're going to be candid here in the dirty pocket. I mean, we're going to, we're coming hard off the edge, okay.
Climb that pocket, baby.
So absolutely. Climb that pocket, man. We screaming off the edge. We screaming, but that's the issue here.
Yeah,
it's a big mess. But Jimmy G is not on the market, okay? Because the plan all along, from my mouth to God's ears, has been to retain Jimmy G. They're going to have their preseason battle, where they duke it out in training camp. In practices, Trey Lance looks like the next Johnny Unitas, but in the games, he looks like the next Deshaun Kaiser, okay? It's okay. Everyone's like, oh, wow, you should have been at the practices. If I hear one more person on social media tell me you don't talk about the practices. Listen, practice is a controlled environment by the head coach where they have ideal situations. Kyle Shanahan probably goes up to the corner and says, hey, can you lay off on this one? It's come on. Okay. I'm not talking about practices. I'm talking about game time. I'm talking about being in the pocket. Okay. That's what matters to me. And so I think that they're going to kind of play this thing out, and Trey Lance is going to feel a tremendous amount of pressure, which is going to crush his lack of confidence he already has. Okay. And he's not going to perform too well in the preseason. And then we're going to kind of string it out to the beginning of the season. And then it's good because I think Jimmy G is supposed to start throwing at the end of June, beginning of July, when when the shoulder's right. And then all of a sudden, week one, Jimmy G will be the starter. I'm going to come out and say it on the show. Unless they trade for Tom Brady or something else unforeseen happens and they bring in another veteran, Jimmy Garoppolo will be the starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers week one of the 2022 NFL season. That's
okay. So if he's healthy, you say he's the starter.
There's no question about it. There's no question about it because, there's no question.
So let's put on the tinfoil hats then and go.
There's actually a guy who wrote in Key West. I saw Samantha and my wife and I. We saw a guy on a bicycle driving around our cul-de-sac with the tinfoil hat on the other day.
I love it. He's in good company, man. We're going to throw it on here right now because literally 2 hours before this show, Bruce Arians suddenly retires from the Tampa Bay Bucks, not unlike Tom Brady suddenly deciding he wanted to play for the Tampa Bay Bucks.
What a shock. It's almost like this is scripted.
So it seems clear to me, what say you, Scout Kelly, that Mr. Brady left the team. There was talk of some personality conflicts there with him and the coach. And then a few weeks later, he decides he wants to come back to the team, and now the coach is just retiring. Is Tom Brady running the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? And to that point, will he initiate a trade to the San Francisco 49ers for Jimmy G? Jimmy G gets bumped twice by Tom Brady in one lifetime.
Well, I tell you.
Wow.
You're loving this as a Rams guy. You're loving this.
Oh, I love this. I hope that more turmoil, the better in San Francisco. Yeah.
Check this out. What you're saying, Stacy, I'll wait till you finish drinking. Okay. What you're saying, because you may spit it out. It's not that far-fetched. Okay, that Tom Brady is running the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And let me say why. Okay. It's because I read an article. At first, I thought it was like some kind of I didn't think there was anything to it. I didn't even think it was credible. But then all of a sudden, I looked on top of my screen. It said MiamiHerald.com. Yeah. There was an article that came out that was suggesting somehow, some way, Tom Brady was going to allow a trade of himself.
Just going to agree to it, Tom Brady. Oh, it sounds good.
He's going to allow himself to be traded to the Miami. I mean, this started with Aaron Rodgers. This is get out of control. Okay, he's going to allow himself to be traded to the Miami Dolphins. Okay, in exchange for himself to be able to buy 51% of the Miami Dolphins.
Saw that story.
Okay. So he's already, Tom Brady's now where he gets that kind of money, because we're talking about probably, $1.5 billion. I don't think he's made quite as much as that during the course of his career, but that's neither here nor there. Maybe he has investors, who knows? But that's, yeah, he's running the Buccaneers, for lack of a better way of putting it, just like it seems like Aaron Rodgers is running the Packers. And
it's clear.
And Brady, here's the thing. Here's the wild card, okay? If we're sitting at a table right now, here's the wild card. This is his childhood team, the San Francisco 49ers, okay? This is his team. And it's very interesting to me, very interesting, and nobody in America is talking about this. So let's turn up our volume again a little bit more.
Here we go.
Absolutely. Here we go. Okay. Go ahead and mark this one for clip. Okay. It's very interesting to me, as my dad would used to say, what a tangled web we weave. Okay. And all of a sudden, Coach McDaniel, great coach. It seems to be very aggressive, but all of a sudden he ends up in Miami, which just happens to be the center of this whole thing, kind of revolving around. And he happens to be there. Right. And so maybe there's a situation where there's a three-way trade, something, maybe two is involved. I don't know how this is exactly going to play out, but it's just interesting.
I know where you're going with this.
Finish my thought.
I know where you're going. Okay, so it's a three-way, all involving guys that love the 49ers or played or coached there. So
they're controlling all the strings.
The Dolphins could literally trade Tua to Tampa. Tampa sends Brady to Miami. Miami sends Brady to San Francisco for Garoppolo, who played for McDaniel in San Francisco last year. The scout comes up with the crazy tinfoil hat squarely on.
Tinfoil hats, puppet strings. I mean, but you put it together, which tells me there's some credence there.
I didn't even think about it.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing that we really need to dial into. Okay. Here's what we really need to dial into. Okay. It is the fact that Tom Brady. Okay, this is Tom Brady. This is a GOAT. This is the greatest of all time, right? This is childhood team as the San Francisco 49ers. Let's just repeat that. Let's repeat that 10 times. And maybe instead of counting sheep tonight, we can say that instead. San Francisco is Tom Brady's childhood team. And just kind of count the Lombardi trophies to kind of going over the mound as we say it, as we fall asleep.
I'd love to send him there.
Because here's the situation, okay? Here's the situation. Now, my childhood team, the Washington Redskins, okay? And by the way, the person who messaged me today on Twitter and told me that I probably need to change that on my Twitter page about being a Redskins fan because, all this kind of stuff. Let me think about what my response is. No, I'm not going to do that. Okay. Anyways, I just have to get to my fan mail at some point, right? And sometimes it's easier than responding on a tweet just to say it on the show. But here's I tell you what, I'm just getting started tonight. But here's the thing, okay? My childhood team was Washington Redskins, okay? And it was my dream my entire life to work out there and to eventually run the team. I had a chance to interview out there in 2019. Would have gotten hired if Bruce Allen had not been let go at the end of the season, okay? I know for a fact that if I had a chance to get to my childhood team, I would take it like that, okay? So, and I know the same thing probably to be true about Tom Brady. So when the smoke is all settled on this thing, okay, that's why I still think it's going to happen. That's the play. Because otherwise, again, let's go back to this, okay? Let's go back to this. Let's take off our tinfoil hats for a moment. Let's go back to this. Why else will Kyle Shanahan refuse to name a starter going into the season? All it's doing is create instability. There's got to be something on the horizon, something that's unknown why he won't say it. But I can tell you this much, it won't be Trey Lance.
I wish I had a Twilight Zone music drop for this right here. I'm not saying that I believe anything anymore. I mean, Arians retiring tonight just made me laugh so loud. I mean, oh yeah, Brady, I'm done. No, I'm not done. Oh, now Arians is gone. Okay, Fournette resigns. Justin Gage comes over saying Tom Brady called me from Tampa. I mean, clearly something's going on. I'm just saying, from my perspective, it's an interesting theory. If it would be so Tom Brady, because I'm sorry, when has he ever played in a division where he had a bunch of stud quarterbacks? Never, ever has he done that. So he's looking at the NFC West, and all he has to worry about is Matt Stafford. What he should be worried about is Aaron Donald. So if he wants to pop over to the NFC West in some crazy tinfoil hat, three-way trade, and McDaniel gets Garoppolo to run his offense, and Tua ends up in Tampa, and wouldn't that be crazy? That you're coming with theories tonight. I mean,
I am.
And look, I would not put it past Brady to find a way to San Francisco. In this day and age, with what we've seen even the last few weeks, we just saw some guy walk on stage and smack a dude on it. Anything is possible with this stuff at this point. So, okay.
And where did John Lynch used to play?
Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
Right,
Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
And the GM of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Who's that? I don't know who that is off the top of my head.
Jason Light.
Oh, Jason Light. It is Jason Light. Okay.
Jason Light happens to be from the Belichick tree.
Oh, boy.
And then Tom Brady.
I'll tell you what, that would shake up the football world just a bit if Tommy and team TB12 and family end up in San Francisco. That would be this guy right here. Bring it on. Make it happen. I would absolutely love to face him twice a year.
Well,
be a blast.
Yeah, I think the NFL's finally figured it out. As far as generating. I mean, they made this
turn it in the NBA.
It's a 12-month-a-thon every year, and there's always. I mean, we've never in our lives. I mean, we've been watching football since we were kids. I mean, never have we seen this kind of trade. I mean, these kind of trades. Never have we seen this kind of movement. Never. I mean, the quarterbacks. Wow. We talked about a couple of weeks ago on our show that I mean, all the quarterbacks just want to league are either moving or want to mmove.
It's wild.
It's. I mean, the drama that. I mean, this makes Law and Order look like a cartoon.
Oh yeah, I look. Here's what I'm bracing for. I'm bracing for somebody. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and open up Twitter, Instagram, and Andrew Luck has come out of retirement playing for the Seattle Seahawks. Like, I just don't know what's about to happen, which is fun as hell, I might add, that the NFL is this way now. But you're right. It has changed dramatically.
It has changed dramatically. It has.
I don't know that I like it. I'll be straight up with you. I like the idea, as you probably do too, of a guy staying with a team his whole career or most of his career. And we're seeing that in the NBA a little bit in Portland when Damian Lillard and the Portland Trailblazers, he's like, I want to win it here and I'm willing to sacrifice it, but the NFL and TB12, he looks to me like he's acting like LeBron James, like he's calling around other teams, recruiting players. I'm almost positive Arians leaving is why he came back. All sorts of interesting stuff. Absolutely wild, man. Wild. Okay.
It is wild. It really, there's a lot of deeper connections to this stuff. I'll share this, that when Bill Parcells, I was there in the building at the Jets when he left, when he stepped down, his plan was to become the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh, wow.
Before Gruden. So there's a definite connection. Plus, that's before Parcells traded Keyshawn down there when Dungy was there to kind of like blow up that whole situation. And yeah, it's kind of interesting how that all worked out. So there's a definite connection down there. And so, yeah, it's very, very interesting how it's all going to play out. But I definitely see something's going to happen here. Something's going to happen. It's not staying status quo. No, it's not.
Okay. Early preview from the Dirty Pocket, my man. Okay, a couple of quick things just in closing this week on this episode. We'll move off 49er Trey Lance talk. Check out the Scouts article, by the way, Sports Illustrated. Couple of things. What do you think of the new overtime rules? Each team gets a possession. Yeah. I wonder if Josh Allen feels that way in Buffalo. He probably He's probably a little bitter after that one.
Well, maybe he should have done what he needed to do, and he wouldn't have to worry about it.
Oh, I don't think it was him. I think it was his defense.
Well, you know what I mean, though. You know what I mean. It's like
Patrick
Bill Belichick
shouldn't be able to score in 17 seconds.
It's
a little.
Yeah, if he's not scrambling and fumbling. But you know, it's this is a fun show tonight. This is a fun show. This really is. We're on court tonight. We are in court. Yeah, absolutely. But you know, it's like Bill Belichick used to say when the kicker missed the field goal, and he said the game should never come down to a kick. You know, in the first place. So I mean, it's you know, rules will change. You know, come and go. The game stays the same. You know, rule changes. You know.
Yeah. No, it's wild. I think it's interesting. I think it'll certainly, I mean, again, we're talking about the NFL's figured it out. That's just going to drive ratings. I mean, that Buffalo Kansas City game was absolutely incredible. Had they just been able to keep going, it's just making more people money. So not surprised this rule changed. I know. They're actually interested in it in the NFL, the money thing.
No,
it's part of what drives them. No. Okay, a couple of rapid fire things.
First, my parents told me there was no such thing as Santa Claus, and now this.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry to burst that bubble for you, but here we are. So speaking of bursted bubbles,
say that 10 times real fast.
The Detroit Lions and the New York Jets, both of whom you cover for Sports Illustrated, with them in mind. Prepare thyself for this. Bobby Wagner, Honey Badger, Jadeveon Clowney, Ndamukong Suh, Odell Beckham Jr., Lions, Jets. Anybody there they should sign? Because they're all available.
Well, I mean, the Lions should sign anybody they can. You know, I mean, that's what that comes down to there. You know, I think the OBJ is the big one. They don't have a pure number one receiver in Detroit. I think they could really benefit, you know, from having someone like that. Jets don't have a pure number one receiver either. They could benefit from OBJ with out there in New York. You know, that depending on what they're going to do in the draft. Those are two teams. I mean, OBJ stands out on that. You know, Suh is still a good football player. You know, I turned on the film the other day. Yeah, I turned on the film the other day. He just blew up the pocket and just, you know, he doesn't do it every play, but he still has the ability. He still has the ability to do it. So I mean, you know, I mean, he's still better than a lot of guys out there when he wants to your point. You know, outside of that, I know you're a huge Clowney fan, so I know that. So I'm sure you want the Rams to sign him.
I will not be pleased if they do that.
Right. No. You know,
no, wasted money.
You know, Tyrann, I would avoid him like the plague.
That's what I.
Yeah, absolutely. He's, and I think we're seeing that play out in the free agent market. I think his camp counted on a little bit more quicker activity, and now he's just kind of sitting there. And I see that he's down to LSU, kind of helping out with the recruits and stuff. His career may be done. I don't know. You know, if he's setting up for another part of his career, something's coming up there. But I mean, all you had to do is turn on the Super Bowl against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I gave him a grade of an F. In that Super Bowl for Draft Diamonds. He was awful. He played, you know, just took a lot of plays off. He made the game all about himself. He had that big tirade. He just really became a huge distraction. Wasn't a team player at all. That completely turned me off. I'd play with 10 men on the field before I'd have him at safety. You know, so you know, and who was the other one you said? Who was someone?
Ndamukong Suh, OBJ, Honey Badger, and the other one is Bobby Wagner, who is
Wagner deserves
told the Rams and Ravens he wants $11 million for 1 year, and the Rams are saying no.
Right, it's a little high. You know, I can see. You know, this is probably going to drag out a little bit longer, and I don't think anyone's going to mind that, let alone Bobby Wagner, because you know these veterans. I mean, they as much as they love the offseason conditioning programs, they really hate them. So I don't think that you know it's going to be a love loss there if he has to take an extra long vacation to some island somewhere, do something fun. But I think when this thing gets closer, him and OBJ are the most talented of that group. If OBJ is healthy and he's right. But Bobby Wagner is going to make a significant contribution probably to a team on a 1-year deal that's going to be a contender. You know, I could see, you know, somebody like the New England Patriots or somebody just picking up Bobby Wagner out of the blue. And, you know, maybe Green Bay Somebody, it's going to, pick him up. I mean, he's got, he's a good football player. He's going to find a home. At the middle.
I'd love to have him in Horns. I just don't want him for that money, and I'm glad the Rams are being somewhat smart about that. A little surprised that he isn't getting a call from Detroit Lions to replace. Oh, I forgot Alex Anzalone. Not going to replace him. So
no, they picked up Jared Davis instead.
I saw that. Another interesting call. He leaves. He comes back. It's a redemption tour. Final shot here for you, Mr. Burks. Rather talented wide receiver in the college ranks, paid a visit to the Green Bay Packers today.
Yeah,
nice fit. With Aaron Rodgers, no Devontae Adams. In fact, no one.
Yeah,
I don't know who Aaron Rodgers.
Alan Lazard is
Randall Cobb.
Randall Cobb. Yeah, well, that's a guy that Rodgers wanted back so bad.
That's fine. He's a great role receiver, but
Burks. I like Burks a lot. Okay. Yep. Burks is a guy that it's one of these guys that to me, when I watched him play, I saw shades of Randy Moss on the deep ball. He's able to go up. He high points the ball exceptionally well. I had a chance to sit down and talk personally with Burks for SI for an interview.
It's a great interview, man. You did a good job.
Thank you. And I want to kind of get his thoughts on how he high points the ball so well, because that's really an art form, knowing when to jump and how to time the ball. And he described it to me perfectly. He said it's hard to describe, but it's just when the other guy starts to jump, you just wait a split second longer and then you jump. And it seems to work out really well for him. He's got great size. And the thing I like about Burks, outside of his ability, his deep ability, his big play ability, is his ability to catch the short screens, the bubble screens, and his yards after the catch ability. This is a complete wide receiver. He's a number one wide receiver. He's along the lines of a DK Metcalf, that type of guy. That's a bigger guy that can come in and do those kinds of things for the offense. Yeah, absolutely. Green Bay would be a great fit for Burks. There's no question about it.
Love it. Okay. Well, I'm sticking to my crazy tinfoil hat prediction that says Aaron Rodgers ups and retires here soon. I could see
that's going to be the big one. That's going to be the big one that you touched on. Like, what are we going to wake up to? Let's save this. Let's time mark it, because you can play this soundbite. You can have this one to show your great grandchildren someday.
They'll love it.
Absolutely. Be like, who's Aaron Rodgers? Don't worry about it. But it could very well happen. That could definitely be a situation because it's the same thing in Green Bay. I mean, if really Aaron Rodgers was a guy and they really were going to pay him this kind of money and I'll do all these kinds of things, wouldn't Green Bay be trying to trade Jordan Love? If this was what they're, it's the same. It's the same thing with the 49ers. Something doesn't add up in Green Bay, so I could see that happening. To your point,
yeah, wouldn't shock me. Okay, this week on the Dirty Pocket has been fun, particularly for Niner Nation. On our parting shot, Scout Kelly, loving that hat. Tell us about the significance of that hat, man.
Absolutely. For those of you who did not watch last week, we have a great time here in the Dirty Pocket talking about all sorts of controversial things and stirring up the pot and all the kinds of things that we do out here, and the rabbit ears and everything else. But here's the thing, okay, including the Pepsi. When Trey Lance leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Besides all that, okay, something serious for a moment, okay. Is this hat? I got this hat a couple weeks ago. It's a crucial catch hat from the NFL. As soon as I saw it, I had to get it. Why? Because my first year in the National Football League with the New York Jets when I was 24 years old, my first month in the job, I was diagnosed with testicular cancer. My life flashed in front of my eyes. I thought I was a goner. Thankfully, I always wondered, why did I end up in New York? It just happened to be home to Sloan Kettering Hospital, like in Brian's song in the movie with Brian Piccolo. It happened to be the best cancer hospital in the world for testicular cancer. My surgeon was Dr. George Basel, who wrote 2 books on testicular cancer. I got right in because the Jets team doctor knew that the doctor over there, and my life was saved. But I didn't know what was going on with me. Okay. I mean, we talk about prostate cancer, we talk about breast cancer, and we should. But here's the situation. I had a really uncomfortable swelling down there. You can use your imagination. Okay. Really uncomfortable swelling. And there's not a whole lot, out there about testicular cancer. As a matter of fact, I knew a guy in high school that found out years later had testicular cancer, and he died because he didn't get checked out early enough because he thought he had an STD. Okay. It was terrible. It was terrible. And so, my message to young men is get screened, get checked out. Testicular cancer is very common amongst young men. And it's something that can be Dan Turk, the guy that used to be a long snapper for the Raiders, Matt Turk's brother, who was a punter for years in the NFL, died from testicular cancer. It's something that can be easily curable if you catch it early enough. And so take it from me. I went through it 20 years out or so, 20 plus years out. I'm sitting here now talking to you, talking about all these controversial topics. There is hope. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to get checked out. And it's a crucial catch. It's way more important than anything else I can talk about, including Trey Lance. Make sure you get screened and checked out because you want to make sure you catch this early. It's crucial that you do.
All right, man. That's good stuff. So people getting a little serious here in the pocket this week. Good stuff. Thank you, Scout Kelly. Any parting words of wisdom as we close this week's show?
Wow. Words of wisdom. You're dropping that on me now, huh?
It's final shot as we close it out.
As an old manager of mine used to say, this too shall pass. Whatever you're going through out there right now, just know that you can make it through it, and there is hope. This too shall pass. Whatever it is, this too shall pass. Nothing lasts forever.
Good stuff. Mental health awareness as well. Good stuff.
You'll get through it.
Folks, give us a follow. We love the comments. Chat us up. Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram. Believe it or not, we're on TikTok. No clue what that's about, but we're there. Give us a shout. Tell us we're crazy. Tell us we're ultra intelligent. Tell us we're incredibly good looking. Whatever it is that comes to your mind, we can take it. Go ahead and give us a shot. Like, subscribe on YouTube as well. For myself, co-host of the Dirty Pocket with Scout Kelly, but also host of Gridiron Icon. This is us saying goodbye this week. Wherever you are, be well.
That's right. Like that old show back in the 80s, that guy at the end of the show said, good night, America, wherever you are.
And on that note, good night.